beautiful Kent countryside, the perfect place to relocate and bring up a family. That's what the Jacobsons thought when they moved over from Canada. The Gray family were also drawn to this idyllic location. But then, both families became neighbours.
Don't touch her!
I want that smirk wiped off his face. That's what I want.
He will be arrested by the end of the week.
I want you to go in there and tell him it's all over.
However, help is on its way. Former UN peace negotiator Colonel Bob Stewart will use all his skills in an attempt to overcome 18 months of hostilities and bring about a settlement.
Sit down and take it.
Who do you think you're talking to?
When 47-year-old Brian Bewes landed a job as a teacher in the UK, he decided to move his family from Canada to Kent. His partner, 42-year-old Hazel Jacobson, used to work as a police dispatcher, but now spends her time looking after their 5 boys, aged from 3 to 17.
The reason we chose the place was, of course, the area. It was quiet, peaceful, perfect location to have your family.
A year later, the Greys moved in next door, and they immediately became friends.
They would come over for dinner. Their kids would always be over to play. Zoe would have someone to have coffee with during the day. It was great.
But after just 6 months, cracks started to appear in their neighbourhood bliss.
I went over to take a cigarette over to Zoe. She started crying and telling me that her and Jamie had had a big fight that night. He had taken off. She showed me some bruises on her body that she said he did. And she didn't want to report it to police. I sat and talked with her for a little while. Was there for about maybe 45 minutes. And as I was leaving, Jamie pulled back into the driveway. And he looked extremely angry at the fact that I was coming out the door.
And, according to Brian and Hazel, from that moment on, relations became increasingly bitter.
He's done a couple of things. He's driven a car at Brian and Jason. So yeah, that kind of thing, that does lead me to believe that, yeah, he's a danger to my kids.
He put his hands down like that and his eyes were just above the wheel. And
came out in the morning and the rear lights in our car had been kicked in. I took that as a warning.
he's made death threats where he's gone like that, slit throat to the kids, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds. He's standing there, and you look up, and right away it's, like this, and you go, like, what is your problem?
After 18 months of fighting, involving the police, social services and the council, the Jacobsons see little hope of a resolution.
There's not a chance in hell of being friends with him.
I want that smirk wiped off his face. That's what I want. We're not going to kowtow to that man. He's not going to push us around. And I just want him to stop.
The feelings run just as deep next door, but the Greys have a very different version of events.
Why did they have to lie about us? Why did they have to try and destroy everything around us? We can't talk to anybody because they all think we're this and that because of the lies.
Before a rare back condition forced him to give up work, 40-year-old Jamie Gray was a nightclub doorman. That's when he and his 32-year-old partner Zoe Mortimer decided to move the family into the countryside. However, after a disagreement with their neighbours, their idyllic new life in the country turned sour.
She just tied a washing line onto a weak post and just filled it with washing. It started pulling over. And I was like, oh, you can't really do that. So I did say to her, can you not put that on there? And she just laughed at me and said, I put my washing line where I want to put my washing line. And I said, but you know you're pulling the fence over. She said, so? And just walked away.
Over the next few months, the situation escalated. Jamie was even arrested, although all charges were dropped.
All we ever hear is noise, noise, noise. You don't get a minute's peace. 1 week it'll be a hammer drill. The next week it'll be a hammer.
That's when I started getting involved. When it started on the children, like waking them up of the night, making them scared.
The dispute continued to grow and has crept into every aspect of family life.
Courtney was only 3. She ran in the garden and she turned around to Courtney and said, "You can F off back in your house as well." And I thought, I'm not having no more of this, no more. So I took Courtney in, and from then on, everyone helped me. All my friends, everyone, because I haven't got any money. They all brought me wood, they gave me money so I could build a fence.
Despite Jamie's claims, Hazel denies that she has ever actually shouted at the children.
Once that fence was done, I thought, right, that's it. We haven't got to see them anymore. Next thing you know, there's lots of drilling, banging going on, and all of a sudden they're popping up above the fence all over the place.
The Jacobsons claim the platform is a playhouse, but the Greys are convinced there's an ulterior motive.
That platform was built just so they can see over the fence, and they do all their videoing and cameras and all that sort of thing. If they're not there, they're up on there. She said to me, "I'm going to get you out of that house. You're going to move." So she's trying to force us out.
The situation is spiralling out of control, and with little hope on the horizon, both families have agreed to call in former UN peace negotiator Colonel Bob Stewart.
This situation reminds me of so many disputes I've come across in my life, like in Northern Ireland or in the Balkans, where actually the reason for the dispute sort of disappears, and the dispute itself just sort of spews out hatred and becomes a reason for living almost. This dispute that I'm about to get involved in may not be as easy to resolve as it seems on the surface.
Now they've agreed to let ex-UN commander Colonel Bob Stewart try to negotiate a settlement. But to do that, he's going to need help.
I'm going to meet Martin McGowan Scanlon, an old friend in the army with me, been on operations with me. I trust him absolutely. Martin's job is to actually discover what has happened, what has really happened, because both sides to this dispute will only tell me the story from their point of view, and normally that is a half-truth. Look, he's a happy boy.
Bob's first move is to take Martin up in a chopper to get an overview of the conflict zone.
Martin, what I'm going to get from both families is their viewpoint, their subjective viewpoint, but I need to have an objective viewpoint. I want someone else to give me what actually might be the reality. What sides do the neighbours take? What's the milkman think? What do the police think? What's the landlord think? I think the landlord sort of resides in the farm, which is 12 o'clock. If I have those, it helps me when I come to the negotiation phase.
The Colonel's challenge is to get these two bitter enemies to meet face to face for the first time in 18 months.
Today, I want to go along, I want to meet them, I want to get a feel for the problem. I will achieve nothing unless these people trust me. So, in a way, I'm on trial too.
The first step is to hear each side's version of events, starting with the Greys.
James?
Hello.
Hi, I'm Bob.
Hi, Bob.
Very nice to meet you. And the children. Hey. Hi, Zoe? Yes. I'm Bob. Really nice to meet you. Hello, girls. Twins?
Yes.
Every conflict has a front line, and Bob gets Jamie to show him theirs, the garden fence.
Canadian flags? How many flags are there?
Oh, they have them all over the place normally.
Is there a sort of clash of cultures here between, you know, English approach or Canadian approach, or am I being silly? The
Not
Canadian...
at all. The idea of the flags was to wind us up. How that would wind us up, we don't know, but...
Children are watching us from next door now.
Yeah, they will be.
Yeah.
They won't acknowledge you, they just stare.
Yeah.
This is the creepy thing.
Yeah.
And they'll be standing below that, asking them what we're doing and where we are.
Yeah, I see. Man to man now, you know, have you ever done anything that will upset them really deeply, or, you know...
I may have told them to pee off or something if they
Piss off.
started shouting at me or something like that, and I'll just
or
walk away.
gestures to the children?
No, I'd never gesture to a child,
no.
you know.
Like sort of
I may have laughed at the children when they were up
cutting
on the
throats or something? Nothing
No, that's
like
a bit
that.
pathetic,
Is
isn't
it?
Yeah.
pathetic.
That's a bit,
I think it's pathetic.
That's a bit
too,
childish. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
This is their mentality, not ours.
My primary objective on meeting people for the first time is to get to know them, to get them to trust me, and to listen to what they have to say. Although I may want to push them when they admit something, I don't want to do that. I just want this initial meeting to be about getting a feel for the situation.
While Bob is fed one version of events from Jamie Gray, Martin collects intelligence outside of the two families. That includes a meeting with the local police.
So would you say, overall the situation is probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other?
Yeah, police have attended on several occasions to each address to deal with certain matters. Now, some of them haven't been that serious to go out there on blue lights and things like that and attend straight away. A lot of them were dealt with by way of an email to me from our control centre. Because it's in such a rural location, any sort of police patrols would be seen a long time before they got to the addresses, which, would give any offender a long time to be able to see and, either stop what they're doing or get away.
According to the police, it's been hard to gain any real evidence. Back at the Gray's house, Bob continues his research.
Everyone bloody lies. Everyone distorts the truth. We're human beings. That's what happens. When I'm trying to win an argument with my wife, by God, she's done far worse than she has. And it works. That's what human beings are like. Have you elaborated any of your stories that you told me, do you think?
No, we try to tell exactly how it is, because where we had police and everything involved, if you start elaborating and adding bits and this and that, when it comes down to it, a good lie's got to have a good memory.
Both families live in rented accommodation, and Martin has managed to track down their landlord, Philip Taylor. So who does he think is really at fault?
Hi, looking for Philip Taylor? Hi, Martin McGann. Pleased to meet you. How are you?
Both of them are very credible, and you go to one and you hear what they're saying, hear their testimony, you think, oh, I believe these people. I really believe them. They seem sincere, they seem honest, and you think they must be telling the truth. And then you go next door and hear what they have to say, and you think, maybe it isn't quite so true.
So do you think one of them is lying?
I think somebody must be lying somewhere.
Despite over 18 months' worth of complaints, even the landlord still seems unclear. Right. Meanwhile, Bob continues his investigation.
One question for you in front of Zoe.
Yes.
Do you lose your temper?
Not very often. I'm very, very calm.
Do you push people around?
No.
No?
I never push anybody around.
Okay. There's only one instant, and that was to calm me down, and that was a slap on the face.
So hang on, you have calmed you down by giving you
once. But he has never ever, and I swear on my children's life, he has never beat me.
Yeah. Well, think not, of course. Oh, you all right?
Next, the crucial question. Do Zoe and Jamie trust the Colonel enough to meet the Canadian family face to face?
I think it would be very nice if I could meet with you tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
And also with your next door neighbours at the same time.
I'll come down with him, but I won't go in.
Yeah, that's great. And we can have a chat, and you can help and guide and be with him.
Yeah, but there's no way I'll be going in the same room as him.
Okay. Don't worry. No, darling, it's no problem on that. Look at you. You're terribly upset by it. And I think the other side, if they realised how upset you were as well by it, and how you want it to stop, that would help them.
What I've noticed that's crucial is that each of them has a slightly different approach to the problem. And I think I can use that in the negotiation. And secondly, and this could be very, very important indeed, I think Jamie will actually give quite a lot to satisfy and help his partner get over her problems. I'm going to go and see what the other side have to say about the situation now.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hazel.
Yes.
Bob Stewart.
Hi, how are you?
How do you do? I hear you've got some problems with your neighbours.
Just a little bit.
Can I come in?
Certainly.
Can I ask you one thing, both of you?
has it reached the point of unrecoverable?
Yes.
With him, yes.
Yes. He's subjected my kids to a year of mental anguish. They have to look to see if he's out in the back garden first, whether or not they're going to go out.
Yeah.
That's not normal. And I will not have anybody threatening my children, ever.
I noticed next door I've got a CCTV camera. Do you have a CCTV camera?
We had one up for one weekend, and
On the
we
advice
had
of a
an
police officer?
absolute weekend of bliss. He didn't do one thing to the kids that weekend.
But it's amazing. Within an hour, we had 2 police officers at our door telling us to take it down. Yet he films us constantly, taking pictures, filming us for over a year. If you sat and listened to 1 or 2 of these things, you might say, oh, it's petty and silly.
Yeah.
But if you're subjected to that for 16 months, constantly.
There have been some alleged incidents on both sides. Jamie says the Canadians have been deliberately drilling to annoy his family and claims to have recorded this incident on New Year's Eve.
Some of the
Now Bob can see the scene for himself.
Stop a second, stop a second. Can I just ask?
Yep.
Are these the famous shelves that went up?
Yeah.
So this is the drilling that went up.
Mhm.
You were putting these up. And when did you put these up?
Well, I bought the brackets on January 8th.
Not before the end of the year.
No.
So drilling before the end of the year was something else if it was taking place.
No, because nothing else has been done.
Martin has some more information.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much indeed. I'll see you very shortly.
He's managed to track down a local man who spent an afternoon working at Jamie's house, who witnessed some drilling for himself.
Ryan? Hi, how you doing? Martin McGann, Scanlon.
At one time, I do remember, there was some drilling going on, just as Jamie's wife put the kids for their afternoon nap. The lady next door started drilling. That's the first
Well, I
thing.
mean, she wouldn't know the kids were going out for the nap, would she?
Apparently, it was a daily occurrence.
What, the drilling at that time?
The drilling, and it was a large hammer drill, you know, so it was quite noisy, vibrating against the wall, and it was the wall upstairs to the bedrooms of the children.
Okay.
Other bits and pieces, obviously it was all, I was getting all this from Jamie. He was talking to me, so I was getting his side of the story more. But it was a bit of a weird situation.
Back at the houses, the Colonel continues his research into this weird situation. He tackles Hazel as to why she has put the playhouse right next to her neighbour's fence.
This is a view we used to have before the fence went up. Yeah, they might be able to see into the back garden and see their kids playing, but what's the harm?
If this is the only place where your children could see these gestures, have you considered moving this?
No, I shouldn't have to. I'm not going to let him bully my family into doing things to suit him. Go play with your own kids and leave mine the hell alone.
Earlier in the year, the council suggested that both sides enter mediation. Martin's on a mission to find out what happened.
Okay, so can you tell me what you know about the situation between the Greys and the Jacobsons?
Hazel Jacobson rang in to inquire about our service, having been referred by a Seven Oaks District Council.
So Hazel was the first person to call you?
To call us. We then got a telephone call from Zoe in October saying that she wished to take part in mediation, and that message was relayed to Hazel Jacobson, who by that time decided that she didn't wish to engage in the mediation process.
Hazel claims she refused to mediate due to police involvement, but can the Colonel go one better?
I won't sit in a room with that man ever again in my life. If Hazel would like to,
and we've said this from the start, I'm open to a meeting with Zoe initially, and possibly with him after.
I can't promise you Zoe will speak before, but she might speak afterwards. We're like this. I just want 2 to meet, and hopefully then you can speak to Zoe.
Well, I'm not meeting with that jerk on my own.
This is a standard way for people negotiating to behave. Push the stakes up unacceptably. She did it. She pushed the stakes up so they were unacceptable to me, the negotiator, let alone the other side.
I want to talk to her before I talk to the jerk.
That
I'm going to leave it with Bob here to see what,
you know,
what
I'm
kind of thing.
not in it to be confrontational with Zoe.
Why do you want to talk to her beforehand then? What I want to do is
I
to
know
lance
his
the
be-
boil
I know his
first.
behaviour.
The boil seems to be between you two, really.
I'll probably end up smacking him in the face or him coming at me, and I'll walk
No,
right out.
that won't happen because I'm there.
Okay,
I
well,
can't see a way forward unless you trust me.
You know what? Damn it. I'll meet with him.
You're a good lady. Put your hand there.
No, well,
He's not going to bully me.
What we've just seen is ultimate negotiation gameplay. I think she was being rather a bitch. We were that close to the end of this particular game. She blinked, I didn't.
Getting both sides to face each other tomorrow is an achievement, but the Colonel is no closer to working out whose version of events to believe. Bob meets Martin in a field to find out what he has discovered.
My opinion really has been swinging like a pendulum all day. One moment I'm on the Jacobson side, next minute I'm on the Gray side. I was starting to get the impression that people were, whatever they'd been told by either side, that was the camp they then fell into. And the people who'd heard both sides of the story really felt that they couldn't really offer an opinion as to who was to blame.
So, in short, you have come to the conclusion that you're not absolutely certain that anyone's to blame.
Or perhaps it might be fairer to say that I've concluded so far that they're both as bad as each other.
He's a danger to my kids.
She said to me, I'm going to get you out of that house. You're going to move.
Ex-UN peace negotiator Colonel Bob Stewart has convinced both sides to agree to formal talks. But on the morning of the negotiation, some of the participants are getting extremely nervous.
Zoe's upset, so she's been in tears all morning, basically. She's very worried about it. She doesn't want to face her, because she's scared stiff of her, basically, because she doesn't know what she's going to do next. Very upset about it.
The Colonel is on the way to a pre-arranged neutral venue designed to ease the tension, but it could all be to no avail if neither party turns up.
Everything relies now on Zoe turning up. If Zoe doesn't turn up, Hazel is likely to walk. I promised her she'd be there. I'm guaranteeing she will be there. If Hazel doesn't believe in me, doesn't believe that when I give my word it's going to happen, then this negotiation will fail.
The mood in the Jacobsons' house is completely different from next door.
It's been a good morning. It's looking forward to whatever's in store. I feel perfectly fine about the negotiation today because I had nothing to worry about.
Hazel's partner Brian has refused to take part in this part of the process, but Hazel has agreed to represent the Jacobsons on her own.
Bri, we're off. Some chili on the counter, thawing out for dinner. I have no time, no idea. See ya.
So many times in my life, I've been waiting for negotiations to happen. It will be an enormous achievement if both sides turn up. This is the first time they'll have actually been in a room together, sitting face to face.
Hey,
much to the Colonel's relief,
right?
Zoe makes it to the hall
right?
with Jamie.
Don't worry, everything's fine. Jamie, how are you? Okay?
Bob.
With Zoe in such a fragile state, Bob has arranged for her to watch the negotiation from another room.
Okay. Martin will look after you. All right? Right. Yeah, don't worry about him. He's with me.
Morning, Bob.
Hello, Hazel. How are you?
How are you?
All right?
Good, thanks.
You two know each other, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can you sit there? Who wants to go first?
Seeing as you seem to be the one with the problem, Jamie, go for it.
Jamie?
All I want to know is why you have to lie about us. You tried to have me falsely arrested, and you're just making a life of misery.
Jamie, you know exactly what's gone wrong because it's your behavior. What satisfaction do you get out of bullying kids as young as 2.5 years old, doing slit throat gestures at them? What satisfaction do you get out of that?
What is the colour of the sky in your world? Where do you get them? What is your problem with our bedroom windows? You sit in the garden with chairs facing our bedroom window, watching. Why?
That was for police evidence, Jamie. I have no desire whatsoever to have your mug in my home at all.
Why do you dive around in front of cars, making out they've hit you to try and screw them for money?
You know what, Jamie? If you had
You've got more fiddles than the Philharmonic.
I don't have to make anything up. Does this offend you at all?
No.
So why did you file a complaint of racism with the police over a Canadian flag that flies in the backyard?
The racism was you leaning over the fence saying English white trash and calling our kids English white trash. That was the complaint, not for some silly Muppet flag.
That's not a Muppet flag. Actually, all of us here, including you, Jamie, have respect for the Canadian flag. I can't put my finger on what it is that's got you two neighbours fighting like, dare I say, cats and dogs. What is it? Tell me the thing that's actually made you mad. What is it that's got you going?
I started it, did I?
Yeah, your behaviour. What started it?
Yours started it because I don't work. And she hates anyone that has any benefit.
You do work.
They all think they're jealous of, you're jealous of us.
Who?
I ain't going to tell you who, because you will make their life a misery. The same as everyone else around you.
No, you don't want to say who, because you're full of it.
Why do you think it kicked off, Hazel?
We have no idea why he started it. Only he can tell us that.
Both sides have had their say. Now the Colonel wants to challenge them on some of the key allegations.
Right, Jamie. Gestures. Do you or do you not make gestures to people?
No.
Well, that's rubbish. They think you're making those gestures. It's got to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you accept that you might make gestures that can be misconstrued, yes or no?
Not directed at anybody, probably.
Not directed,
Yeah.
so you accept that you
Yeah,
might make
I
gestures?
may have made gestures, yeah, but
You know.
not directed at anybody.
Well, I want them bloody well stopped right now. Okay?
Absolutely.
So that's one thing we can sort out here and now. Agreed?
Agreed.
Agreed. Gestures are to stop.
Yep.
This platform, Hazel, here, if it wasn't there, gestures wouldn't be seen by the kids. Would you consider moving that platform?
No.
Under the circumstances, you're being pretty inflexible, Hazel.
Then, in the heat of the moment, Jamie accuses Hazel's partner Brian of something too libelous to broadcast.
Have you got evidence to back that up?
Take that back and apologise on that point now, please.
The pressure is too much for Zoe, who is about to turn the whole negotiation upside down.
It's over. We're going to put a stop to it. It's over.
She's lying too much.
No,
We're not giving her the bigger stage to tell lies.
What's this not going your way?
No, it's nothing to do with anyone's way. I'm ill. You're making my children ill. That's it. It's over.
Wait. Don't go yet.
You drink too much.
You're a coward.
You believe
You
it.
are a bully.
Wait.
You're nothing less than a coward.
Jamie?
No, you bully
stop.
men.
Listen, would you mind?
Listen.
Let's go.
No, just listen.
That's it.
Just tell them.
I'm not listening to that liar
Listen,
no
you
more.
need to know that you're going to put a stop to it now.
Sit down and take
Please
it.
sit
Who do
down,
you think
Jamie.
you're talking to?
No, please let me...
You agreed to come here. It's not going your way.
Jamie.
You're a liar. You are a total and utter liar. You bully your boyfriend about... You do not bully me. That is the problem.
Wait, listen.
That is the problem.
Listen.
I can't be bullied.
Go in there.
No, you just walk away. You can't even handle it.
No, listen. You got to go and do it, because then that will make you...
No.
Wait.
You don't want it done.
No, this is what I want. I want this. I want you to go in there and tell them it's all over. That is what I want. Now do it for me, please. I'm begging you.
He's just
Hazel calls home. She discusses the possibility of reporting Jamie to the police.
Go away.
No,
You can't leave alone.
I'm not.
Shut
I'm
your
not a
mouth.
victim of it.
Can you...
At the
No,
end of the day.
stop. Don't saying that.
Stop.
Now you're showing temper.
Don't touch her.
You
filth.
Get away.
Stop.
You're as much a victim of him.
Shut up, you dose-old prat.
I am not
Hey, Jamie.
Calm down.
I am
No,
not
let's go.
Stop, Jamie. You're proving
not false.
you're losing a temper, and I don't want that.
No, that's why I'm walking away, because I
Okay.
will not lose my
Okay.
temper.
He's being himself.
Right, well, can you...
Go and have a bath.
Right, listen. Please come. Would you both trust me enough? Trust me. Please trust me to come back in and let's listen to the end of it. Please?
It ends.
It does. It can end there, but come and... we're all getting wet. Come and sit...
The truth is not coming out. You haven't said any.
Yeah. Come and sit down.
You're
And
a
if Zoe
compulsive
wants
liar.
to stay with us, that would be great. Please come in.
Well, I think I've just ruined it walking in anyway, haven't I?
Jamie, just sit down. Just please sit down.
The Colonel gets the warring parties back into the room. With feelings boiling over, his position is weakened, and his plans for peace redundant. All he can do is keep the negotiation alive.
Jamie, do you want this matter resolved?
I want it done. I want it out. I want it finished.
Stop the behaviour.
Hazel, do you want this matter resolved?
Yes, I do.
That gives me a start point to this afternoon to come and see both of you. May I have your agreement that I come and see you this afternoon?
Certainly.
Thanks, Hazel. May I come and see you this afternoon?
Sure.
Okay. I didn't know that was going to happen, obviously. And I have had to think very hard as to what we should do now. Because the one thing I don't want to do, and I won't do it, is depart from this place with the situation worse than when I arrived.
It's been a disastrous start to the negotiation. However, the Colonel has a plan B. He wants to make Zoe the new focus of the settlement.
Everyone is concerned about Zoe. Hazel and Brian are concerned about Zoe just as much as Jamie is. So maybe I can use Zoe as a kind of catalyst to help me find a resolution. It's a big gamble, but I think it's the only way I can actually hope to get a resolution to this dispute, because right at the moment, things are in crisis. It's clear on the other side of the fence that they have concern for Zoe. I know that Jamie and you have said, we want this matter resolved, we're prepared to do anything. So I thought, what is the common factor? Zoe. And I want to try and ask you overnight to think of things that might help the situation, calm the situation, get it down to a sort of, at least a neutral position. Obviously, and I want to call it Zoe's list.
Bob has asked Zoe to draw up a list of terms which could help keep the peace. The Greys are on board, but can he sell this to the Jacobsons?
This is the second time I've made this short walk between houses. Last time, I was actually trying to listen to what people had to say. This time, I'm trying to save the negotiation. I want the Jacobsons to agree to look at Zoe's list. It's crunch time.
I've asked Zoe to actually make a list of things that she thinks would improve the situation. And what I want to happen is I want to go back to Zoe tomorrow, discuss that list with her alone.
You know what I like about that?
What?
You've given her some control.
That's true. Clever, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
For the first time in a long time, she's got something to say.
Yeah. She has the control insofar as I take her list, I discuss it with her, I bring it to you, discuss it with you, and then later on in the day, perhaps we meet.
Sure.
Sounds
I'll
good.
meet Zoe.
Sounds good. And you'll meet Zoe any day.
Yep.
Great.
It's the next day, and back at the Greys' house, Bob helps to finalise Zoe's list.
Stop dispute dominating each family life. That's what you mean, isn't it?
Yeah.
As well as making Zoe the focus, Bob is also keen for Jamie to apologise for his wild accusation.
I mean, you've made a pretty slanderous accusation against Brian.
And they've made a lot of slanderous accusations
Well, that's my
against
point.
me.
I want this matter dead.
Well, that's
Okay.
why I came for yesterday.
Yes,
To-
if you
to
could,
end it.
you'd like to apologise to Brian in person.
Well, I'll do it your way. Or whatever.
I would like you to apologise to Brian in person.
Bob's confident that with Zoe's list and an apology from Jamie, he can stop the Jacobsons calling the police and put the peace process back on track.
I said, Jamie, I told you that allegation was out of line then, and it's still out of line. You've got to go and apologise to Brian.
Only if he comes over here with a letter of ending his tenancy.
I do not want to see that man. The only face I ever want to see of him is behind bars next time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be staring out at him and looking at
I
him.
understand your anger, Brian, because
He's disgusting.
The second matter, I went to Zoe. I asked her to provide me with a list.
Okay.
Lots of points. The first point is both families to have nothing to do with one another. Do you find that a problem?
Not at all.
No abuse in public or gestures.
We've never done it.
Okay, fine. In which case you can sign up to it.
We have done nothing. Absolutely zero.
Please.
No, you know what? Don't put a tick besides those things that
I'm
we
not
say
putting-
we have
I-
never
I'm
done.
not.
The comment I want
I'm-
beside
what
that
I've
is
done- what-
never have done it, never will.
Okay. May I say?
No, but I'm not
may I
signing
say
something
this
that,
might
says,
be.
that suggests I do that anyway.
We have not and will not.
As we have not in the past done this, we will not in the future. I will.
We
sign
will.
that.
Well, I don't want to say in the past. I want to draw a line. I've got this.
I'm
Is
not
the only way.
admitting to a
I know.
behavior that I don't do.
I'm not getting you to admit it. What I'm saying is, we will not abuse anyone in public.
As we have not
or make
in the
decisions.
past.
I can't put that in because.
Well, then I can't sign it.
Okay.
Ignore each other.
Righto.
The Colonel's had enough. He's unwilling to bow to the Jacobsons' demands. He leaves without them even accepting Jamie's apology.
It's clear that both of them actually are fairly intransigent. They believe that they are totally right. They have done nothing wrong. And I wonder why they even in a way, want to be part of this process. Because, as I've explained to them, negotiation does involve a bit of compromise. There is no compromise there.
The Colonel has nothing to offer Jamie and Zoe. It looks like the end of the negotiation, until Hazel comes out to find him.
You had said that Jamie would offer to come over and apologize to Brian for the false allegations against him, and Brian's refused that. I will take his apology.
At last, Hazel has cracked and throws Bob a lifeline.
I will accept his apology and consider calling off the police, because at this point in time, I'm having my statement taken tomorrow and he will be arrested by the end of the week.
Okay, I'll do my best. Right, thank you.
Now, to put the peace process back on track, the Colonel needs Jamie to apologise.
What I want you to do is exactly what I ask you to do, which is go out, make an apology, turn round and come back. Okay, so will you do that?
Yeah.
Good man.
You can do that now.
Good man. Yeah, now.
Do you want me to do it now?
And we'll do it by the fence post, so get your coat on. He's prepared to apologise on the following two matters.
No, every single one of them, because every one of them is bullshit.
Well,
if
all
he's
I've
not
got-
man enough to apologise for his misdeeds and for his wrong allegations, then same in jail, bud.
I'm sorry, but I thought there were only two matters that I was going to get him to...
No, each and every incident that he alleged yesterday is false. 100% false.
Well, I can get him to apologise on two matters.
All or nothing.
Hazel has increased her demands. The Colonel must enter into shuttle diplomacy, going from one side to another to try and broker a deal.
She says that unless you apologise for that...
She's just
she
holding me
doesn't
to
want-
ransom, basically, blackmailing me.
I have to say that's more than I expected.
No, I don't think.
It's blackmail.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I take back that I beat her.
Yeah.
That wasn't that reasonable?
But it's...
That she
Yeah,
falsely,
well,
falsely
yeah.
alleges that I beat Zoe.
Okay.
It seems to be that
Stay
I'm doing
here.
a lot.
Can you
and
stay here? I know it's cold.
She's not doing a lot, if you
Yeah,
know what I mean.
I know what you mean. I'll
Yeah.
try. Yeah?
Is that the only one?
I'll try that.
Is it the only
Take
one?
back the fact that you've beaten Zoe.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any resolution requires people to come to the table with a slight willingness to compromise, and I'm asking you to compromise on this matter. I want you to say that's the only incident, and
That's the
actually,
only incident
Zoe
I'm aware
Vincent.
of.
Okay. And
Yes.
actually, he's not, therefore, to your knowledge, a serial wife beater.
No, I
To your
don't know that.
Good.
I
That's it.
don't know
That's
either
fine.
way.
Let's try. I'm sorry to
Bob
keep
reunites the two
interrupting,
parties and ensures Jamie apologises for the false allegations he made during the negotiation.
Now, those things you are, I think, willing to apologise
Yes.
for. Is that correct?
Then you can go ahead and apologise.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry that if I've offended you in any way with these
False allegations.
false allegations.
Okay. And we've outlined what they are.
Accepted.
All right. Now,
would like this whole
want.
thing to be over with,
You would.
and not to have.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? You shouldn't have made up the stuff yesterday.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't make anything up.
Yeah. No, hang on.
You just
apologise for it.
You just apologise.
Sorry. No.
Sorry.
That's it. Hazel, stop.
He just
Hazel.
apologised and then said he didn't make anything
Hazel.
up.
Hazel.
That is not a sincere apology.
No, it is a sincere.
No, you just said you did not make anything up.
Yeah.
But you just apologised for it.
Yes. Quiet. Please listen.
No, I did not make anything up.
Okay, let's be quite clear. Let us not. Let's stop this. I'm going to get signatures on this, and I'll come round individually. And I really am. I'm going to come back in a few weeks' time. Please don't disappoint me.
Certainly.
Well, thanks very much.
Sorry, I don't want to touch you.
Okay, but you can touch.
Hazel, please.
Yeah, Hazel. Zoe.
No. He has the allegations he made against my husband.
But he's withdrawn them. He's wrong.
He wants to.
He's wrong, and he wants to apologise unequivocally for anything.
Sorry.
Okay, fine.
I
But let's put it on the record. He wants to.
Touch him. Sorry.
Okay.
Step one was to get an apology so that we could have movement. Step two now is to get Zoe's list signed up to and agreed by both sides.
An hour later, Bob sets off to get signatures on Zoe's list. It includes several basic points, such as no drilling after 7 p.m, no more cameras pointing at each other's properties, and that both families will agree to leave one another alone.
I'd like you, Jamie and Zoe, to sign there, which is yours point, Zoe, the 7 that we agreed on, outside. And I'm going to leave one copy with you. They'll have a copy, and I will keep a copy. Hi, Hazel.
Man of the moment.
Hi.
Come on in.
Thanks.
It's better ending to this than I thought you could do.
Yeah.
Stunned.
And I made
As
sure
long
that...
as it does not start again, there will be no further police involvement from us.
This is a pivotal moment. Both sides have given or accepted an apology. I don't think they will be particular friends ever, but actually we've just seen for the first time ground being given on both sides, which is very important.
A few weeks later, life has already started to change for both families.
It feels more friendlier, and it's like you can go out there and you feel like no one's watching you. And
Well, they are, but it's not in the same way. You know, we walked out before and they'd just be like staring at you. Now they wave.
There has been no incidents that I can think of. The only thing that would be different would be the kids playing with each other and having fun with each other, you know, albeit with a 6-foot fence in between them. They still found a way to have fun.
1 month after his peace settlement, the Colonel returns to Kent to find out how both families are progressing. On the surface, it's good news. Part of the fence has been cut down so the kids can now play, and the scenic views are restored.
So, it's really nice to be back 4 weeks later.
Yes.
How's it gone?
Good.
Yeah.
There's been no incidents of concern as far as any of the old behavior goes, so
Yeah.
it's been great.
Yeah.
Again, the biggest guys you want to talk to are the
Are the kids.
The kids.
Yeah.
In short, a whole different ball game to 4
Yeah.
weeks ago.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I'm delighted for you. And
I'm
thanks very
delighted for the
much.
kids. That's the big
I'm
thing.
delighted
Yeah.
for everyone,
Yeah.
all people.
Tambourine.
Tell me, what do you think now?
we feel a lot happier. The children are a lot happier. They've got someone to play with. It's actually nice to speak to somebody, like instead of being like secluded from everything, sort of thing, isn't it? Because like we're just more or less on our own, weren't we? Isolated. All round, it just seems it's nice.
That's excellent.
Well done.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Smiles all round, and the Colonel is hopeful that the peace will last.
This was a classic battle that grew out of people not understanding the other person's point of view. Here we had a conflict where the children were suffering. Now they're talking and playing.
across the fence that previously divided them. That's a great result.
In the heart of the Essex countryside is Britain's biggest traveller site. Over half of them live there illegally, and the local residents have had enough.
I've had 3 burglaries since the travellers have been.
How can you sit there and say such a thing?
The local community is at breaking point. Can a former UN negotiator, Colonel Bob Stewart, use his military experience and broker a peace settlement in this troubled area? Right now, it's a standoff between homeowners and the travellers.
Did Hitler have the right idea or not? Some days you say yes.
Now that you're actually in a gypsy's place, do you still think that we're filth and scum?
Got licence for shotguns and everything else, and I've told the police that if they come in after me mob-handed, I'd use them.
You're dead now, Mr. Grigley.
Despite court orders establishing the majority of the travellers are there illegally, they still remain. Accusations of intimidation, antisocial behaviour and prejudice are rife on both sides. Leading the fight for the travellers is Kathleen McCarthy.
I have running water, I have a flushing toilet, and I have electric, can turn on my telly or my electric kettle whenever I want. That is luxury to us people. Everybody's terrified to go back on that road. Why can't we just be settled and have a bit of comfort in life and get our children educated the same as anybody else?
The man who's taken it upon himself to lead the fight against the travellers is Len Gridley, a self-employed builder who's waging a very public war against the encampment, which now has expanded so far it backs onto his property.
He is a very spiteful man and a very bitter old man. One day he decided to look out the back gate and say, I have nobody to love me and care for me, so I'll just pick on these gypsies out the back. There's only one other person that I have ever known treated people like him, and that was Hitler.
Go on, where you go? Go on.
46-year-old Len has lived at Windy Ridge, a 4-bedroom detached house, for over 15 years. Len claims that he's been forced to turn his home into a fortress and that its value has plummeted.
It's an insult to call them gypsies, and it's an insult to call them travellers. I'd call them immigrants breaking our laws, and they shouldn't be allowed to get away with it. I don't want to build my place like a prison camp. I'm in the green belt, but I've got to because of them, to keep them out.
Len's main issue with the travellers are noise pollution and fly tipping. But recently, he's received several death threats.
I've got licence for shotguns and everything else, and I've told the police that if they come in after me mob-handed, I'd use them. No, if they do start things like that, I'll have them destroyed tomorrow. I'll burn them out.
For the Colonel, it's a classic conflict. Two entrenched sides unable to see any possibility of a compromise.
I don't trust them. I don't trust what they say. The only way I can find the real situation is to get on the ground, meet people, actually get their view of what's happening. I'm going to do my very best. These people don't realise that I'm not just a pretty face.
Colonel Bob Stewart was a former UN commander in Bosnia and a specialist in hostage negotiation. He has over 25 years of military experience. Whilst in Bosnia, Colonel Bob won the military's second highest honour, the DSO, for helping lay the foundations of a peace that still exists there today. This is a man who knows about conflict and how to solve it.
Negotiation is something you learn from life. Everyone negotiates. It's part of daily life. Particularly when I was in Bosnia, when I was right in the middle of a battlefield, and it was crucial that I got the negotiation right because people were dying. Listen, I'm married to a French woman. Negotiation every day. I want a challenge where it's a real problem. I want to make a difference
if I do that, if I really do that, I will be highly satisfied.
Colonel Bob sets off. Just like when he was in the field, he calls upon his right-hand man, Captain Martin McGowan Scanlon.
Martin and I served in the army together, and I need Martin to give me a hand here, because what I want to do is to go on the ground, meet the protagonists, and when I'm doing that, I want him to get good intelligence on what is actually happening on the ground, because I'm going to be fed a lot of public relations bullshit from both sides, and I actually need to have someone who I trust absolutely to tell me what he considers to be the objective truth. God, he looks suitably scruffy. Perfect. Martin.
Hey Bob, how you doing?
Get in. Get in.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. You look as ugly as usual.
On their way to Essex, Bob brings Martin up to speed on the history surrounding the Traveller's site. He then outlines Martin's task for the conflict, primarily information gathering.
Firstly, I want you to have a quick scout of the gypsy camp, get a feel for it. I want you to look at the roads, see whether they're making a lot of noise, see whether they're making a lot of rubbish. Keep outside the camp, but look at it and actually get the feel. And then I want you to go and see the council. Go and see what they think should be there. Have a word with the press, okay? What I want from you is intelligence on actually the attitudes of people to the gypsy camp.
Okay, no problem.
All right?
Absolutely, no problems.
See you. This is pretty. If gypsies are here illegally, you can understand the local people that have paid a lot of money for their houses objecting to rubbish and objecting to noise and perhaps a lot of vehicle movement.
Before any successful negotiation, the Colonel will need the support and trust of both sides. He starts by meeting local homeowner Len Gridley.
Wow.
Morning.
Morning.
Pleased to
My
meet
name's
you.
Colonel Bob Stewart. I'm the negotiator. I'm here because there's some chance that we can actually sort out a problem. And I've been asked to come here and actually, today I just want to get the feel of it.
Yep.
First up, Bob asks to see the border between Len's property and the Traveller's site.
So here's a few questions for you.
We'll leave the door open, have a walk down the gardens, show you how close they do live.
So you say about 1,000 people live here? In this...
Well, as you say, you've got them from the left here, right down onto the right-hand side, which is all the illegal site.
So this is the front line, is it? This is actually what we're talking about.
Well, that's what I call the front line.
It's a pretty big obstacle, actually, apart from the fact they can throw things over it.
You say throw things over, they dump things over it, and all of that. Yeah, look, beer bottles, glasses.
Yeah.
Be honest with you, where the hell's that come from?
What's that?
That's been dumped over the fence. That's not mine.
Whilst the Colonel gets to grips with what does and what doesn't belong in Len's garden, Martin sets off on his brief to find out what the local people make of it all.
I think the problem is he might just be shown what they want him to see, you know? That's the danger. So hopefully we can find out a little bit of stuff for him that will give him a bit of the edge when he comes to the negotiation side.
Martin's first visit is to local councillor Malcolm Hope. He explains that whilst given 30 legal plots, the site has now been illegally extended to twice its original size. He also outlines that despite an evicting court order and an objection from the Deputy Prime Minister, legally the Travellers can't be removed.
So we've got a situation, despite what the council want to do, despite what the Deputy Prime Minister said, you've got to sit on your hands and do nothing because they've found some way around the law so that they can stay there.
Absolutely.
There's nothing you can do about it, is what you're saying.
We cannot do anything until judicial review hearing has been addressed.
Do you feel sorry for the guy with what he's got to put up with there?
Yes, I think you have to, because Somebody that buys a property and lives in a rural area doesn't suddenly expect to have 1,000 people living at the back of their garden.
The full legal process to remove the travellers could take several years. However, the local residents need a solution now.
The sewerage in the corner there is the overflow from their sewerage in there, the gypsies.
It's an overflow?
It's an overflow, their pipe flowing into my ditches. You can smell it yourself.
What's that? That's the sewerage from there?
Yep.
How come it comes through here?
Comes across there into these ditches.
Yeah.
I've piped all the way along there. I've got photographs of it, me piping it and all that.
Yeah.
But that's what we have to. That's what we have to put up with. But
I mean, that's pretty disgusting. I mean, you've got what you've got. This is the forward edge of the battle area.
Yep.
And you've got a sewage system overflow coming down the bottom of your garden. Horrendous.
Our friendly Mr. Sheridan, another one that gives a regular abuse in the lane and all of that.
And how would you defend yourself?
I defend myself to my best abilities. If it means firearms it will be.
Things are looking ugly. Meanwhile, Martin McGowan Scanlon has been doing some digging. He's managed to arrange a meeting with one of the male members of the encampment.
Hey, John. I'm Martin. Pleased to meet you. How are you doing?
It's all very tense, and they're reluctant to appear on camera.
Okay, yeah. So you just give us a shout and tell us when you're ready, and then I'll start off.
Unbeknownst to Martin, it's the very same man who was recently staring out the Colonel.
I don't want to get us evicted from our homes, and we've nowhere to go. I don't want to send a bailiffs off, we've nowhere to go.
Okay, but I mean that's one part of it, isn't it? I mean, it's been also this problem with Len, isn't it?
Well, he's got a figure of speech. Everyone said, you know what I mean. But if they got something to say, let them say it. But I got no problems with Grin.
That's the problem, isn't it? It's hard looking after the kids.
Whatever their public position, there is no question that Len has been seriously affected by the constant run-ins with the neighbours.
Have you ever tried to do yourself in?
It's got very close to it. If anything happened to me, the gypsies would never be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I've made insurance policies against that.
In what way?
Terrorists coming in and just blowing the sights to Kingdom Come.
Terrorists. So you know terrorists?
Oh, yes.
You're not pulling...
No, that's an actual truth. Threats don't bother me, you know.
Well, they do, actually. If threats didn't bother you, wouldn't have a friend there, you wouldn't have a dog that would attack them, and you wouldn't be talking about suicide bombers coming in from presumably Lebanon, which is rubbish.
No,
you know, it's rubbish, Len, come on.
No, it isn't. The suiciders are sitting in Tenerife. That's where
what are they doing, on holiday?
Yeah, they're on holiday there.
Are they on a deck chair, do you think, these guys? They're just sitting there waiting for the call?
No, they're working out there at the moment.
Ah, fine.
The situation is escalating, and things haven't been made any easier by a recent tragedy, when 2 travellers died in a house fire, just after Len had agreed to have his picture taken with them for the local newspaper. Martin meets a local journalist and discovers that a major part of this war has been waged in the media. Not just the local paper headlines, but also in TV reports.
Many residents are too frightened to speak out for fear of reprisals.
Well, I will mess with you, Mr. Ridley. Once I go, you go. And that's for a fact.
And Mr. Gridley doesn't exactly get on with his neighbours.
If I saw a gypsy caravan with kids in it, I'd let it burn. Now, I couldn't care about them no more.
Whilst Martin continues his research, the Colonel makes sure Len agrees to a day of head-to-head negotiations.
Within the next 24 hours, I'd like to get you together with the opposition and then actually start talking terms. Is that acceptable to you?
Oh, acceptable. We've got, as you say, unless we talk to them and tell them our point of view, nothing can be done. He's seen what I have to put up with the gypsies. Now he can go and speak to the gypsies and see what they say about me and what they have to put up with from me and the rest of the residents. I think it needs to be an ex-soldier man to go down on that site. I call it Mini Beirut down there.
Well, that's Len. What's clear is that
this man may well be prepared to compromise, and that's good, because if he's prepared to compromise, I can probably get a deal from him at least, and that's the way forward. I've never been to a gypsy camp before, so it'll be my first. We're going to see Kathleen, who apparently is the leader of the gypsies, and on the map, this is the way.
Hello.
Kathleen?
Kathleen.
Colonel Bob Stewart. I'm the negotiator. Very nice to meet you. Thanks.
It's nice that we have a negotiator. We might solve something.
A negotiator.
Take
That's
a seat
what I
down
do.
there.
Let me just say,
After exchanging pleasantries, the Colonel gets Kathleen's views on Len Gridley.
Len fights with us through publicity, the media, newspapers, but the more he decided to talk about us and bring hatred against us, the more it really did become that. He is spiteful, jealous, and bitter.
Kathleen takes Bob on a brief tour of the site, taking in some of the bigger houses.
Is this one here?
Oh, wow. Got to be very careful here.
Now this is my mum's home, which is quite comfortable.
And these are
This is the my mum's grandchildren. This is my sister's daughter.
Yeah.
She fell and hurted her knee.
I must say, it's absolutely lovely. I've never.
This is now. Can I show you in here now? This is.
I don't want to walk on the carpet.
No, come on, fine.
I have to say, I'm pretty gobsmacked because this is beautiful.
Whilst the Colonel's being wowed by the travellers' creature comforts, Martin has hit the town centre to canvass local opinion.
The reality of the situation is that these people seem to be above the law. And it's not just crazy, it's all over the country, isn't it?
They seem to feel that they've got some sort of God-given right to totally go against the general rules and order that society lives by.
People built buildings on there, on Greenbelt land, and they shouldn't have done.
I think, quite honestly, they're taking liberties and they need kicking out.
Do you pay council tax?
We do.
You do?
Yes, we have all the proof for that.
Yeah, so everyone pays council tax?
Everybody pays council tax here. We pay road tax.
Yeah.
We pay insurance, like they say we
Yeah.
don't. We pay... Well, I think the problem here is that they don't like gypsies. That's the main problem. When somebody is saying things that don't happen, it causes the problems. This is the bathroom. It's not really what you call large, but to us, this is everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has the sink, it has the toilet, the flushing toilet. It has everything, you know what I mean? So...
Len claims it's the travellers' flushing toilets that is causing the sewage problems. He's demanded the council get involved and work out who or what is causing the overflow to the system, but to no avail.
What happens to the sewage from this place?
Same thing that happens to Len's. Len is no different to us. We only all have sump tanks.
What happens when it overflows and where does it go?
The overflow is all connected. I don't know where the overflow goes, sir, and I'm not going to tell you a lie.
Meanwhile, Martin takes a trip to an estate agent to see if Len's claims that his property is being massively devalued are true.
Let's just give me an example, for instance, 4-bedroom detached house. If you had to sell it now, it backed onto the encampment, what sort of price would you expect to get for it?
Well, we've got one down there at the moment, it's up for just under 500,000 with land that actually backs onto it.
Right. But when you go there, you're already going to have in your mind a figure of less than you would perhaps value it for otherwise, aren't you?
Well, no, I think the figure will be okay. It's just not going to be as saleable. He's not going to have maybe 20 or 30 people look at it straight away, It's going to probably suit the right sort of people.
So you reckon the price is going to be right?
The price will be the same,
but it'll just take longer to sell.
Take a little bit longer to sell,
Martin has completed the fact-finding and Colonel Bob has persuaded Len and Kathleen to participate in a day of discussions.
Very pleased to meet you. It was an honour for you to come and visit us.
It was my pleasure.
The negotiation is on.
He seems to be a very decent man that won't take no side of the story, but he will judge us as he sees us.
They think they're right. we think we're right. We haven't broken the law, it's them that have broken the law. There may be no compromise, you know, it may be just them and us.
Coat off.
How's it going?
Got your beer.
About time.
Yeah.
That evening, the Colonel catches up with his former captain, and over a pint, they discuss the intelligence gathered over the previous 24 hours.
Okay, well, I found out a lot of things. I mean, I started off talking to the leader of the council, and
Martin explains that some of the travellers on the site are there legally, but over half are not. He tells the Colonel that the majority of local people are unhappy with the size of the encampment, but he also explains that the effect on house prices has been exaggerated, and the main problem lies with the people's perceptions of the traveller site.
the fact is, there is a gypsy site there. It's always going to be there, forever and ever. The whole issue is not about, oh, we're going to get all these people moved on. There will still be 30 pitches left. They're going to be there.
We've got a classic problem here of totally different approaches. Two communities. Both are fearing for their homes. You and I both know why people fight. In the end, it's to defend their homes, their families. On the one hand, you get local residents who've watched the quality of their life go down markedly because they're frightened. On the other hand, you have the gypsies, whom most of them seem quite decent, and without realising it often, they're actually coercing the local people. And some of the things they're doing are pretty antisocial. Overall, is the misunderstanding on both sides? The answer is big yes. And perhaps that's where we can start tomorrow. I've designed the setup for this negotiation with each side sitting on stools and me standing because I want to be mobile and I want them to face one another. I want to try and get this out in front of the other side because only if they do that can we then start to find a resolution.
A bit nervous now, yeah. To tell you the truth, I'd be a liar if I said anything else standing outside the church. Yeah, I'm a bit nervous, but I think it'll be all right.
I've spoken and phoned to about half a dozen residents in the road and in the village. Different questions they want me to ask this woman today and see what her replies are.
The history of this conflict has been primarily played out in the local media. Numerous accusations, claims and counterclaims. But now, the two protagonists will finally meet face to face.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hiya, Bob.
Bob, morning.
Len.
Morning, Kath.
So you don't mind shaking hands with
No,
scum?
no,
Ah,
no,
that's
as long
good
as you
then.
don't think I've got the gypsy curse, because unfortunately someone had their arm around me last time and unfortunately they died. Not my fault, I hope.
So you haven't got a curse
Curse,
with you?
no.
I feel safe
Okay,
then.
let's go in. What I want to do now is to actually do the negotiation. And this is where it becomes much more serious from my point of view. So far, I've just been...
Unbeknownst to Kathleen and Len, the Colonel has brought Martin along. Between them, they've concocted a plan to put both parties under pressure from the start. The Colonel has placed a double-page advert in the local paper, declaring that should this negotiation fail, it will be down to them.
He believes they both use the media to their own advantage, so he's turning it against them by using the media himself, hoping that they'll disarm them right from the start.
What we intend to do is to take out a full-page, double-page feature in the Gazette, but we're actually naming you. You see here, Len, your name, and Kathleen, as representatives of both sides of the argument. And we're going to put that into the newspaper this week.
At a stroke, the Colonel has taken away the main way the two parties have previously waged their war. It's a tactic he hopes will focus their efforts towards reaching a resolution.
The next thing I want to do is I want to actually ask each of you to talk to the other and tell the other person, we'll start with you, Len, what really makes you mad, and I want you to say it straight now to Kathleen.
I think the first thing that makes me mad and the village is the sewage problem we've got in the road. Where is all the sewage coming from and where is it all going to? The constant tooting of hooters down there. It's night and day, 7 days a week. There's so many issues that people have burnt. The fly tipping in the road and the rubbish that's chucked out the windows. It's not come from the residents. The road used to be completely clear and the residents haven't changed.
Anything else you want to get off your chest?
Nope.
OK, so that's it.
Yep.
Your statement is over.
Yep.
Good. Kathleen, your statement, please.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say what I don't like about you, and then I'll go on from that.
Here's the personal attack now.
What I don't like about you, you're a selfish man. You think of nobody but yourself, right? You're lonely, you're sad, and if you could get a life and a partner, you'd see how happy life could be. Now, the fly tipping, your biggest issue is the rubbish. Ye live on the road where the rubbish is, not us. Ye live on it. So, as far as I'm concerned, if there's any rubbish, it belongs to ye.
No.
With things on the boil, the Colonel steps away from the protagonists as the more random and personal issues of the conflict bubble to the surface.
I've never done that.
You've got to get it out before you can move forward. That's why Bob hasn't interrupted. They step back out of it. That's the technique he's using at this point. Let him get on with it.
If you had an issue with that and you were going to make us look bad because of that, you should have stood up like a man and
Be honest with you, I don't feel safe. If you're living down in a caravan, when the English was down there, I could drive round to that site and knock on any one of them caravans. Safely, I don't expect to go and do it.
Don't talk about getting hurt down in our site till you come down and tried. You have not tried it.
So you're
telling
telling me
sit there
that
and say such a thing?
You're telling me now that if I come down there at any time...
At any time?
I'm welcome.
You are more than welcome. It doesn't take a television programme to get you to come down.
This is getting quite good now. They're both getting a bit heated about each other. Well, let's see what happens.
They've had 3 burglaries since the Travellers have been
What
there.
you're trying to say is the Travellers moved in, my house was burgled 3 times.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, isn't
Yep.
it? Yeah. Well, prove that the Travellers done it. You videoed Christmas Day, the children and the young girls. You could tell exactly what them young girls had on to say.
I've never on a video camera.
I have you on a newspaper.
Videoing children.
I have it. You said the young girls was dressed up as Merry Christmases.
Stop. No, I did not say that at all.
Stop.
Okay.
Enough. Okay.
Yeah, it's going around in circles now. So Bob's just bringing it back to earth.
I'm really glad we've got everything out into the open. What I want to do now is to get you to look outside the box and then actually think where we go from there. Agreed? Agreed. Agreed? Good. That was clearly not as fiery as it might have been. I'm very pleased by that. Now what I want to go on to do is to get each side to look at the other person's point of view, how they see the conflict, because that will help them when I come to actually push them together next time and try and get some kind of compromise.
Phase 2 of the negotiation. For this stage, the Colonel is going to split the protagonists up. But to do that, he's forced to break Martin's cover and inform both parties about his covert role.
Kathleen, you know I wanted to show you the gypsy site from a different perspective. Well, I meant that literally. To do that, I'm going to put you into a helicopter to look. Don't worry.
First time for everything.
Don't worry, it's great fun.
Yeah.
And I'll send Martin along as well.
Okay, I trust
All right.
you on that.
Okay.
Martin's not going to be too happy with that decision. He's not been up in a chopper for the best part of 10 years.
The problem with Martin is that I've flown with him to Kazakhstan. He hates flying. He's bloody petrified.
Kathleen, look, there's nothing at all to worry about, OK? All you got to do, if you're feeling a bit dodgy, look at the horizon.
He's a really hard guy, but flying gets him going. So I've offered him a bit of a snifter. He's rejected it, so I'll have to drink it for him.
Yeah, give him a wave.
Whilst Kathleen takes an aerial view of the site, the Colonel has persuaded Len to actually enter the Traveller encampment. Bob has guaranteed Len's safety and will be with him at all times.
Things like that than I would do.
What are these things here for?
They're red gas bottles.
Why?
You tell me.
Yeah.
The Colonel has arranged for Len to meet Kathleen's mother for a conciliatory cup of tea.
Okay. Kathleen's mum?
Yes.
I'm Colonel Bob. I'm the negotiator, and I'm coming in if I might.
Warm in here, is it?
It's lovely. I think you've got a beautiful house here. Very, very nice.
Well, it's
thank you, sweetheart. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
This is the first time Len has ever entered a traveller's house. The Colonel eases Len into the situation, and understandably the travellers are keen to hear what he has to say.
Something's got to be done down the line. What the answer is, I don't know. I don't think Kathleen knows the answer and everything.
And it's my job to suggest a few things.
Whilst the Colonel eases the tension, Martin is getting a much rougher ride.
What I want you to think about is other people's perception. So put yourself in other people's shoes and look at it.
But I'm not going to let other people think that we're doing something that we're not.
No,
I never volunteered to do this programme.
I also understand that, Kathleen.
You know what I mean?
Here, Martin's role is to challenge Kathleen's position that the travellers are the victims in this conflict.
You see the rubbish on the far side over there, over by the steel cans?
You mean those gas
steel
bottles?
fence?
You're talking about the gas cylinders?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that rubbish or is it gas cylinders?
Well, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't be left lying around there, should
But
it?
it's there for a reason.
Look at the rubbish down here on this side.
Where?
And try and see it.
Where's
from,
the rubbish?
Try and see it from other people's
show me the rubbish
perspective.
first.
Just down here by this building there.
But
look at all the crap there on the side. Can you see it down the side? Look, coming out the back of the house. That's people being too lazy. They've just thrown it out the back there.
No, that's not being lazy.
Look at the perception. You take yourself away from being a gypsy for a moment. You fly over that, what do you think?
You bring me to the council estate and I'll show you dirt and filth.
What I'm trying to explain to you then is that whatever you tell me, whatever you show me, the perception is going to be a certain thing.
And that's what we're trying to stop. And
exactly,
that's why
that's
I
what I'm
came
trying
on this
to help you
programme.
do.
No, you're not trying to help me. You're trying to bring me down and say, yes, we are. This is your filth and your dirt, and I'm not having that.
No.
I'm not having that, sorry.
Kathleen, I thought we'd moved on a bit this morning, you know. You recognise...
I would have moved on, only for you are trying to insinuate that we are living in filth and dirt and we're fly tipping, which is lies.
No.
And when I was coming up here, I told you I wasn't going to
Skipper.
be... Ooh.
It's all right, don't worry, relax. Relax, you're fine. You're fine.
We have dignity, we have respect. Not like people is making out keep showing, look, there's dirt, there's dirt. Yeah, so what? It wasn't filth and dirt that we were gathering up and we were throwing outside Len's house or anybody's house. I'm not going to let people think that we're filth and dirt when we're not. I'm sorry, but I'm not having it.
Kathleen's clearly unhappy. Bob had hoped that the helicopter ride would have made her see things from the residents' perspective. Big mistake. Whilst the Colonel has done a good job building bridges between Len and the travellers, he's completely unaware that Kathleen is in an almighty rage.
Right then. Oh, so you had a cup of tea, did ya?
We did. We met your mum.
That's fine.
You're going to come sit here?
So you're all right now, Mr. Grigley?
Yes,
How's things looking for you?
I've had tea as well.
You still think we're filth and dirt? Scum.
You haven't seen my place. You would call me worse than that.
Yeah, but I want to see you. But what I'm trying to say to you, now that you're actually in a gypsy's place, do you still think that we're filth and scum?
I've never thought any gypsy filth or scum. I know the gypsy way of life.
Why did you say we were?
I've never said that to your face.
I have it where you said that you couldn't think of anything else but scum. We were scum.
And if I have done that,
said that
I'll
in
say it
the
on
pub.
camera.
You said it in the pub with all your friends, and I have you. Now, wait a minute, shush, Lorraine. Plus the fact you're training your dog to hate us, as well as yourself. Now, do you still think that we're filth and scum?
No,
what you
I
called
don't.
me.
No.
Thank you very much.
I'll say it on camera. If I have said it, I apologise to you.
Well, you did say it,
You
because
know,
I have it on tape.
Kathleen,
Yes.
he might have said something he didn't really mean, even at the time. And lots of us do that, including me and probably you and Len.
The Colonel's hushed tones have calmed the situation. So much so that Kathleen decides to give Len the guided tour.
Yeah.
Right, I want to show you. Now, we put our rubbish in here in black bags, right? We don't open that black bag and take a nappy and run down to Oak Lane and chuck it in anybody's garden. Do you honestly believe that that's trying so hard, spending a lot of money trying to get staying here, that we're going to get rubbish Go to Oak Road and tip it where ye can see it, take pictures of it and send it back to the council. Now come in, I want you to see my caravan. It's not much, I'm not posh like these now, but I survive in here. As you can see, it might be the best in the world, but it's tidy.
Yeah.
It's as tidy as I can keep it.
Tidier than my house.
Now, have you seen enough for today?
I've seen enough today.
I want to go as far as bingo.
After a brief wobble, the peace process appears to be back on track.
This has been a fantastic day. What we've done is brought both sides together, the representatives of both sides. They've had a go at one another, which is great. They've got their grievances off their chest. They've said it openly and clearly. And at the same time, each side has had the chance to say, that's wrong, that's a mistake. And actually, we've also got some agreement that mistakes have been made and things can be put right. I think that's a fantastic result for this day as the negotiator.
The visit has clearly been a success, and the two parties are starting to look, well, like neighbours.
You sit here, my dear.
Sit there, thank you.
And I'm not pulling my chair, any chair out for you. You sit over there.
Oh, Len, it's supposed to be a gentleman.
Yeah, I know, but I've done the lady. OK.
The Colonel is keen to have one final meeting before the day ends. He wants to capitalise on the momentum that is built and make sure both parties continue with this new vein of optimism.
Bring people together and let them just relax and enjoy each other.
Well, I'm
Suddenly,
chilled out now over
you're
this.
chilled out. You're chilled out
Lovely.
now.
I needed this.
You needed that? What about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I think the same as well.
Do you think you might be friends?
Oh, I think
you
I'd
know,
be very good friends with him.
I'm just worried about her lady friends.
Well, I tell you what, you could do worse, Len.
I think that Mr. Gridley is not as bad as he's painted to be. He pretends to be tougher and angrier than what he is. He's not.
Tomorrow I want to actually bring us together again and finally finish the process and try and get a sort of a roadmap to peace, if you like, a roadmap to understanding. And I've got some thoughts which I don't want to say right now, but I want to develop overnight. You're a wee bit late.
You said 12 o'clock. That's what I was told.
Aha. Well, maybe it's a misunderstanding. You see, it's a beautiful house, isn't it?
Once Len's arrived, the Colonel takes both parties to what he calls the front line. There, he'll attempt to put into place some measures that he believes will enable both the residents and the travellers to coexist amicably.
The first point is the media. There's got to be a ceasefire. The media have been stoking this bloody problem up because it makes a great story and actually it's making it worse than it is, OK? The second point is keeping the house in order. Kathleen, the cleaning up of the lane, everyone is going to try and get together and actually clean up the lanes on all sides. The sewage, frankly, it's a shit pit there and it's got to be sorted. Now you're talking, it could be fixed. My third point is the cordon sanitaire. French word. What I mean is a neutral zone, a no man's land. And I'm suggesting that mentally, Len, you think of this area as not particularly a part of your garden. I would like you to put a fence across there, and that would allow you to stop being so fixated about it. And the fourth point is a hotline. When there is a complaint or a whinge or something from the settled community, he can ring you. And if you have a problem, you can ring Len. Communication between you two, call it a hotline, is very important.
Just as he did when he was in the field, the Colonel sets out his roadmap to peace. Neither Len nor Kathleen have raised any issues with the four-point plan. So, before the Colonel departs, he gets them to sign an aid memoir, confirming that they agree to these new living conditions.
I think he's going to win.
Handshake. Congratulations, well done. Thanks very much, both of you.
Thank you very much. I thought these few days was pretty amazing. I have visited Len and Len has visited me, and I think that something good might just come out of this. He's a pretty amazing guy.
If they stop, I'll stop. If they carry on, what do I do?
They've agreed to do what I suggested, but I have been witness to many ceasefire agreements. What I like to see happen is when people have gone back to their positions and put them into practice. And I want to see that happen in a few weeks' time. I'll be back then. Cheerio.
With the Colonel gone, the two parties are left to interpret his roadmap to peace for themselves. Len cleans up and prepares to build his cordon sanitaire, whilst Kathleen tries to bring her own version of the highway code to the traveller site.
I'm going putting up the signs, no tooting the horns, no speeding and no rubbish.
The next day, Len re-enters the traveller site to talk about solving the sewage problem.
What happened was, when the film crew were there the other day, they said, "What's the smell?" And I said, "This is the smell, it's a sewage problem down here."
And even places a call into Kathleen to discuss the media blackout.
Hello, Kath. It's Len up the Windy Ridge. All right, not too bad. You had all the press on the phone to you today?
On the surface, both parties have taken the Colonel's measures on board. But by the end of the first month, will they still be following the roadmap to peace?
I'm hopeful that the tension's gone down a bit and there's a line of communication at the very least, and that some of the measures we proposed in our four-point plan have actually been carried out.
Fine.
Len, of course you remember.
Len, pleased to meet you. Come on in.
Let's go in.
Mind the dogs now. Take no notice.
The Colonel's aim is to actually find out what's been happening in his absence.
Throw the leg over now, Bob.
So we're in the position that there's been some cleaning up, the tooting's gone down, there's much more courtesy on the road. Len says people are being friendly and that sort of thing.
From both sides, they're starting to come friendly as well now.
Well, that's great. That's one thing. You haven't fulfilled one thing.
What is that?
The sewage. That is a raw, open sewer, and it's got to be sorted. I want it to happen, Kathleen.
Yeah.
It's got to happen, because that's part of the deal. The one point that has gone slightly wrong, and I'm amazed that we've only got 1 point, is this matter of sewage. But I'm so thrilled to hear that the relationship between the two communities has got much better. Thank you very much for taking part, and I hope the results of all your work end with everyone in this community beginning to trust and enjoy having people around them who are not quite like themselves.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time as well.
And it was a pleasure and an honour for you to come down to the Gypsies.
No, it's
lovely.
my
Thank
honour.
you very much.
Fantastic. That was really a result I couldn't have dreamed about when I started this project. We've got the local communities talking to one another, the local communities trusting one another. I'm really quite pleased. Mission is accomplished.
The resolution was welcomed in the local area, and the Colonel was once again back in the headlines. Now, 3 months later, both sides are still on good terms as they await a ruling from the appeal court. But Len is delighted. Noise and fly tipping are down by 75%. The Colonel leaves, smelling a distinct whiff of success. This is Vixen Tor, a huge outcrop of rocks in the heart of Dartmoor. For centuries, it's been the focal point for visitors to the moor. But now, it's at the heart of a bitter dispute which has caused a huge division in this usually peaceful area.
I'm telling you, you're in danger, so please leave.
She's lucky she's not on a murder charge, to be frank.
One day something nasty is going to happen.
Local protester Jim Harrison is at war with his near neighbour, landowner Mary Alford, about access to the Tor. It's a dispute which goes right to the heart of the question, who actually owns the countryside?
How much more do the general public want?
I will carry on trespassing for as long as it takes.
Former UN negotiator Colonel Bob Stewart is going to have to use all his skills and experience to end a 3-year battle which is about to reach boiling point. Welcome to Vixen Tor, an outcrop of rocks known as the Sphinx of Dartmoor. Set in the middle of the Dartmoor National Park, the tour's natural beauty and stunning views have been a favourite with walkers and climbers for centuries. In the last 3 years, however, people have not been able to gain access to the tour, and it's led to a dispute which has divided the local community.
Yeah, but you are trespassing.
Yeah, you're breaking the law.
So get
You're
it right.
breaking the law.
You say you know the law. I don't know that you know the law as well as you should do.
This is Mary Alford, a farmer and landowner who has strong ties to Dartmoor.
My son and I are traditional farmers on Dartmoor. We've been here as 6 generations, and we look upon ourselves as custodians of the countryside.
In March 2003, Mary bought the 58-acre plot of land, which includes Vixen Tor, and, unlike the previous landowner, decided to prevent the public from having access to it.
After we bought it, we added it to our insurance, and the insurance company said you could be liable if anybody hurts themselves falling off. We're going to protect ourselves from the suing society, basically.
Mary's decision caused public outrage and led to a long legal battle. Last year, a public inquiry ruled that Mary was legally entitled to prevent access to the land. Despite this, people have continued to trespass on Vixen Tor.
We've gone through a long legal battle. We've won, but you have a small heart that are hell-bent on causing trouble. I find it difficult to understand what else we have to do to make them understand. In actual fact, I don't think they want to understand. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think they want to understand.
Jim Harrison is the leader of the Vixen Tor Access Group, which is at the forefront of the protests against Mary. He moved to the area 9 years ago from London.
It's just a magic place to live, and I feel at home here. Even though I'm a London boy, born and bred, this was always more of a spiritual home, really.
Although he's a relative newcomer to the area, Jim believes what Mary has done goes against the spirit of the countryside.
I just saw the spray paint on the walls, no access, and an extra strand of barbed wire. It was just so aggressive in the way it was done, and my initial reaction was, this must be an outsider who's moved here. Well, when I found out it was a local person, I was just like, what? You know, they must know what this means to the community.
According to Jim, Mary Alford has refused to sell the land around Vixen Tor and has asked the Dartmoor National Park Authority for a large annual fee to allow access to it.
Well, I think the real motive is plain to see, to be honest with you, and I think it's money. There's not a lot of money in sheep farming or cattle farming, and I think she's upped the ante so much so that she wants to make some money out of it, and I think that's the truth of the matter.
The dispute hasn't stopped at trespassing and abuse. There have been several violent incidents at Vixen Tor.
We had a young lad, he was feeding cattle, and he had a load of protesters come over the hedge and started throwing stones at the tractor.
Don't you just withdraw for 15 minutes?
When I met her on New Year's Day trespass, she's about to open fire with her shotguns, you know, her son's brandishing a nail gun, you know, he's tooled up. That's aggressive in my book. Allegedly, she's assaulted climbers.
We had climbers here which wouldn't leave, and it all turned a bit ugly.
In September 2005, 2 climbers trespassing on Vixen Tor were allegedly attacked and had their climbing ropes cut.
Well, from what I heard, she's lucky she's not on a murder charge, to be frank. You know, when people are roped up and they're climbing a rock, they can't escape the system, so they're kind of sitting ducks to anyone who wants to assault them.
One day something nasty is going to happen, I feel, and I feel very sad about that.
Despite all the trouble and the violence, neither side wants to back down. No one's giving an inch.
They know we've gone through a long legal battle. They know that we've won it. So why can't people accept it?
I'm committed to getting access, so I will carry on trespassing for as long as it takes.
How much more do the general public want? Do they want everywhere? Do they want every scrap of land in this country open for everybody?
If they're going to reach a resolution, Mary and Jim are going to need someone to help them. Colonel Bob Stewart spent over 25 years in the army, most significantly serving as UN commander in Bosnia, where he helped negotiate a peace settlement that still holds to this day. If it involves conflict, he's been there, done that, bought the T-shirt.
The key to a successful negotiation is to gain the trust of the participants. Identify
what the dispute is and then try and bring both sides together. A negotiation won't work unless both sides go away thinking they have gained from being a part of it.
Bob is on his way to Vixen Tor to meet both parties in the dispute.
This dispute is about land. Actually, the vast majority of wars are about land. When I was in Bosnia, people said to me, I'm fighting because this is where my family have lived for hundreds of years. This is my house. This is my land. This is a classic dispute about land. And it's almost a microcosm of a big world war. People fight over land. And here we are. This right to roam is a classic problem. People want to have access to beautiful country, and you can understand that. And of course, those people that own land often don't want that to happen. When I go and listen to both sides of the argument, they will not actually see anyone else's point of view. All they see is their angle, their side of the story. And for that reason, I've asked Martin McGowan-Scanlon to give me a considered judgment on the situation. Martin is someone who I trust absolutely to get to the bottom of what is happening. Martin!
Hey Bob, how you doing?
I'm all right, mate.
Martin served as Colonel Bob's right-hand man for many years in some of the most dangerous war zones in the world. Once again, he's going to be Bob's eyes and ears on the ground.
Due south is a big rock. That's Vixen Tor. Several years ago, Mary Alford bought the land, and until that time, people could wander up to the Tor, could even climb it. She has stopped all that. In consequence, we've got a real conflict going on. What I really need you to do is to get me the opinion of those who have influence in this area. What I want to know is the opinion of locals as to what's happening here. Equally, I want to know really what the legal situation is with regard particularly to access. That's your mission. Find out what is really happening and what this dispute is about.
So with Martin fully briefed, it's time for Bob to go and meet Mary Alford.
Mary, tell me about Vixen Tor. What is it?
Vixen Tor is a traditional Dartmoor farm, which just happened to have a tor on it.
Why did you buy it?
We bought it because it sits in between two farms that we have and is good cattle ground.
And since you've owned it, you don't want people to go near the place. Why is that?
We have a problem with insurance, people damaging themselves on the property, and that is why we have put signs up to protect ourselves saying no public access.
Martin, meanwhile, is keen to get the precise legal background on the case, so he's set up a meeting with the Alford solicitor, David James, to find out where they stand.
It's private land. She's perfectly in her rights to close it to the general public. There are no rights of way across it. And the public inquiry, where everybody was given their opportunity to have their say, concluded that it didn't qualify as open country under the Right to Roam Act.
Have you advised Mary at all what her liability might be in insurance terms?
Well, she has an occupier's liability, and so she is nervous about that. So if people are allowed to go on the moor and they injure themselves, there is a possibility that a claim could be made against her.
Can you see any real solution to the problem in that one side wants access and Mary at the moment is loath to give that?
I wouldn't say Mary is loath to give it. She's willing to negotiate, but on a sensible basis. And I think the negotiations so far, the parties are a long way apart, I'm sorry to say.
Bob and Mary have gone down to Vixen Tor, where they've been joined by her son Dan, who farms cattle in the disputed area.
Dan, tell me what really gets your goat about this. Just give me some instances.
Well, just people's lack of respect for our private property, really. I mean, they cut the fence, which is a hazard to livestock because there's cut wire everywhere and it can get on their feet.
If they were to show respect, does that change matters?
No, because if there was public access here, we would have to change our business. I don't see that that's fair, really, when we're intimidated and bullied. When it's our own property, we're paying a mortgage on it. We're just looking after it and trying to farm it, and they're just like a bunch of kids that have had their toy, basically.
Mary bought the land surrounding Vixen Tor for £31,000 in 2003. Martin's gone to meet Bob Hicks, a land valuer who's acted for Mary for years to find out more about the situation.
Do you think she got a good deal when she bought the land?
In retrospect, it was okay. At the time, she was gambling, paying a lot of money for something where she couldn't get a great rent out of it, and she wasn't going to get the benefit of farming it herself.
Why do you think the National Park Authority didn't try and buy the land? Were they in and bidding for it or looking at it, or...?
Well, it was on the market for months and months and months, so if they had their wits about them, I think they would have bought it. Mary certainly didn't rush in and buy it.
So what would you say it's been valued at now?
As agricultural land, probably 150,000, something like that.
She only paid, what, 30-odd thousand for it?
Something like that.
So,
but you must remember, land has gone up a lot since she bought it anyway.
The Dartmoor National Park Authority was contacted to find out why they didn't buy the land when it was up for sale, but they refused to take part in the programme.
Has anyone ever been seriously aggressive or rude to your face or hurt someone here?
I was assaulted by...
You were assaulted?
By, I found a young chap, a local Tavistock chap, walking with his girlfriend. I asked him why was he here, did he know that it was private land, and he said, yes, I do, and you just pissed me off.
I mean, I can't believe. So a man walking with his girlfriend beats you up, pushes you.
Hit me under the chin here and knocked me off the hedge, and I fell about 12 foot. I was assaulted and had to be airlifted to Dermot Hospital.
The situation at Vixen Tor is setting a precedent for landowners who want to prevent access to their land. It's a cause they're vigorously supporting. Martin's on the other side of Dartmoor, meeting with a lobbyist from Britain's main landowner pressure group.
Can you tell us what the CLA's position is, and specifically with respect to Vixen Tor?
Specifically, the situation is that there is no public access to Vixen Tor.
No, which side do you support? I mean, or do you want to see a resolution, or what?
Well,
do you think there should be access?
The CLA supports the concept of access to the countryside. We welcome people to the countryside. Nearly half of her land has public access on it. She needs the rest of the land in order that she can run an effective stock management business. Much of this farm has got open access on it. It's important that part of the farm is left for Mrs. Alford to farm and to run her business on.
The leader of the opposition is this guy called Jim Harrison. Has he done anything that has upset you, by the way?
He has blatantly trespassed. He knows that he's breaking the law. He openly admits that. He's very verbal, very rude and disrespectful to us as a family.
Can I ask you, would you be prepared to meet him tomorrow, say? I haven't met him, but I'm going to go and speak to him and listen to what he has to say.
I would be interested to know why he constantly breaks the law, yes.
So, Bob has achieved his first goal, getting Mary and Dan to agree to a meeting with protester Jim Harrison. He's also made a good impression on Mary.
He makes people relax at the first meeting, and I think probably brings the best out in people, or tries to draw the best out in people.
Having heard Mary's point of view, Bob goes to meet her arch opponent, Jim Harrison, the leader of the Vixen Tor Access Group.
It isn't me. Come on in. Thanks very much.
Vixen Tor is terribly emotive, obviously, to you and other people.
Yeah.
Why is it so bloody special?
It's got a tremendous atmosphere there. It's very peaceful, you know, and you've got wonderful views, and it's great climbing. So it's kind of got everything that appeals to me, you know, and to many other people who are not climbers, you know.
Thinking of Vixen Tor, that tour is fair game.
It is to me, yeah. Because it was always open. There was a disclaimer there, you know. You knew you climbed there at your own risk. Climbers understand that fundamentally. They're not going to sue. You know, it's a nonsense. It was a nonsense from the start when she said that people would sue her. I mean, I think really that she's doing that to the community, to be honest with you. You know, I really do. I don't think she's a particularly liked woman. That's the impression I get.
Jim is the leader of a local protest group which has regularly organised trespasses on Vixen Tor. Martin's gone to meet up with some of its members.
Some of us have been climbing here and coming and visiting this place for over 30 years. I have, for example.
It used to be a place where climbers could go, walkers could go, families would go on picnic. We've got records going back to, what was it, 1896, of people having access to the Tor there?
The group are particularly incensed by Mary's attempt to charge the Dartmoor National Park Authority a yearly fee to allow access to the Tor.
Somebody has restricted access to the land which has been traditionally open to all. Okay, I don't think there's any argument about that. But now wants to rent out that access back to the national park at a grossly inflated price. Now, if that becomes a national standard, then where is it going to stop?
They offered Mary Orford £1,500 a year.
Do you know that for sure?
Absolutely, and she wants £35,000 a year over a 10-year lease. Yeah, so you do the maths, that's a lot of money. She's got a rod for her own back, you know. If I stopped doing what I'm doing today, people would still go over there all the time, and they do. And I mean, if I was her, I'd sell it. You know, that would be my ideal. And I'm sure she has a price, but it might be a price that's way too high.
Next, Martin meets with a representative of the main charity which promotes conservation on Dartmoor. They've had a major role in the dispute over Vixen Tor.
What do you think of Mary Orford's decision to prevent access to the Tor?
Well, we would prefer to see it open. We had hoped, and we'd been supporting the Park Authority in trying to negotiate a voluntary access agreement.
What do you think of the protesters?
In our view, that is not the best way to persuade her. We support their point of view, but we don't support the way they're going about it. Now, we think that is counterproductive in this situation where we're trying to negotiate an access agreement.
So you condemn the way they do it, then?
In this instance, yes.
So, why have you brought me here? Why particularly this part?
I'd just like to show you the damage that's occurred here to the wall and the pollution.
What do you mean by pollution?
Well, we have tar and oil, you know, across the rocks. You know, it's kind of incompatible with Dartmoor. And, you know, if you did that on your council estate house in London, you'd have an ASBO slapped on your arse, you know.
So, no public access.
If you come over here, you'll see the oil and tar. What purpose does that serve? It doesn't stop us getting over the wall.
Yeah.
There's a mile of wall here.
So it's sort of wet tar, so you climb up that, you get it on your clothes, and you rather ruin your Rambler shorts, eh?
That's right, yes.
Jim's local protest group has had support from all over the country, particularly from the British Mountaineering Council, which has helped organise many of the trespasses on Vixen Tor.
What got me really interested in Vixen Tor was two friends of mine who were assaulted on the land.
Was this after access was banned?
Yeah, it was, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, they knew that...
so were they trespassing, in effect, when they went to
I guess they were, yeah.
What actually happened to them?
Well, Chris was halfway up this route called Torture, which is quite a hard and quite serious route. Adam was at the bottom holding his rope, and as I understand it, 3 people approached Adam, 2 people held him down, and a third disconnected the rope. If Chris had then fallen off, then he'd have hit the deck and probably killed himself.
This doesn't satisfy you, does it?
What, standing here and looking over that? No. I mean, I just want to go over there. Don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. I don't think you can own something so beautiful, really. I think you need to share that kind of land with the community, and that's what it's about.
Legally, Mary owns that land.
Yeah, I understand that.
Morally, you think she should allow access.
Absolutely.
And that's where we stand, is that right?
Yeah, that's it, in a nutshell, yeah.
Right, I've got the picture. Tomorrow, I'd like to bring you and Mary together for a negotiation, which I will sort of chair and run.
Fine, yeah.
You're happy to do that?
Yeah, I look forward to it, yeah.
Okay, let's go.
Well, it's nice knowing Bob has actually got a job to do, and I'm not negotiating. You know, he's the one who's negotiating, so it kind of takes the pressure off me, really. You know, I just have to let the facts speak for themselves, and just try and get my point over as best I can.
It's been a long day, but Bob's achieved his main objective. Both sides are ready to talk. The negotiation is on. Having got the measure of the 2 protagonists, Bob now needs Martin to let him know what he's found out on his fact-finding mission.
The issues are not quite as clear-cut, I don't believe, as the protagonists would have us believe. One of the things you'll have heard, no doubt, is that the mountaineers like to use the rocks, and it's a very popular spot. I very definitely came away with the feeling that they had never, ever really been interested in that tour until there was the assault. I then went to see Mary's land agent, and of course he's on Mary's side. I asked him if he felt the land had risen in value, and he said yes, and he felt it was now worth about £150,000. What I would deduce from what he said to me was that his advice may well be that she hang on, and eventually someone will cough up the readies just to get rid of her so they can open it again for public access. And perhaps the situation has escalated to a point where both sides feel a bit hemmed in. The landowner sees it perhaps as an option to make a substantial money out of the sale of the land. The other side see it as a way of protesting the assault on their friends.
OK. Thanks very much.
With both sides deeply entrenched in their positions, Bob knows tomorrow's first meeting between them could be the key to sorting out the situation.
Tomorrow I'm going to face yet another challenge. Keep Mary happy, yet get people that want to go to Vixen Tor the possibility of doing so. There is a severe problem. At the moment, she's adamant that people who wish to visit Vixen Tor cannot do so. That's got to be changed if I'm to succeed, and my chances of success, in my view, are probably 20%.
In 2003, local farmer Mary Alford bought the land and prevented public access. Despite a court verdict in her favour, protests and trespassing continue. So far, the Colonel has met both sides in the dispute, and now it's time for them all to sit down and try and negotiate a solution to the problem. It's the morning of the negotiation. Vixen Tor is quiet, and Bob is cautious about what can be achieved.
I don't know what's going to happen because Mary is intractable about access to her land. I don't think those people that want to visit Vixen Tor will ever get a total right to go there when they like. What I want to find is a solution that works to lower the tension, to reduce this conflict, to allow both sides to feel they've won.
This will be the first meeting between Jim and the Alfords since New Year's Day, when he and his friends tried to gain access to Vixen Tor. Whilst trespassing, they ran into Mary, Dan and a group of their friends out shooting on the land, and a confrontation ensued.
Hang on a minute, all of you. We are here clay pigeon shooting. So you're now in danger. So could you please leave? We're asking you to leave. No, I'm telling you,
Helen.
I'm telling you, you're in danger. So please leave.
Both sides are hoping that this meeting will prove to be a bit more successful.
We've been campaigning for 3 years to get this place open again, and this is kind of a crunch moment.
Well, we shall have to see what he says. You know, he is a lawbreaker. We shall have to see what he says.
Obviously, I'm hopeful that something will be resolved and that we'll get some progress, but I'm not banking on it. Yes, Jim, nice to meet you. Mrs. Alford, hi.
We only shake hands with the trust.
OK, fair enough. OK, that's fine.
Well, you know one another. Let's go in. Follow me. Firstly, can I thank both sides for coming here this afternoon.
In this meeting, both sides will be given the chance to air their views to Bob, who will then ask some questions based on what he's found out the previous day. Martin is in the side room listening to the discussion.
Mary sat there with a glass on the end of the nose. She could be in a meeting with a lawyer, so no room for the social niceties here.
Straight away, Mary brings up their last meeting with Jim when he trespassed on Vixen Tor on New Year's Day.
On New Year's Day, we put signs up saying so that nobody could make a mistake.
Can I just interrupt there, or do you want me to let her finish speaking?
Do you want to interrupt?
The signs you put up were just by the gate, which was covered in oil, you know, and a trespasser is not going to get dirty and ripped by barbed wire by going over the gate.
You cross a sign that says no public access.
The signs were not in any obvious point.
A gateway?
No,
a gateway is obvious.
So we didn't cross the gate for the reasons I've just stated. We got onto your land and you threatened to open fire with children there. You know, I've got you on tape saying it, so don't deny it.
I said we're about to start shooting again.
Okay.
We didn't say we were going to open fire.
We
I think
didn't
that's
say-
a bit dramatic.
we didn't say
Listen,
we're
I had a
open fire.
cordless drill in my hand and you thought it was a shotgun. I was putting a barbecue set.
Hey,
that's how dramatic you are.
I know what a weapon is, yeah.
So a cordless drill.
That is a potential lethal weapon.
OK, look, I'm going to stop this here because I want Mary to finish.
He let Jim interrupt, thereby allowing the discussion to take a different direction.
I want to go
Jim and
through-
Dan aren't listening to Bob, though. They're more keen on giving each other dirty looks.
I will let you speak again,
Of course, no problem on that, but I want both sides to have their say. Jim, don't look
Jim,
upset.
Stop staring me out.
You know.
Are you trying to be a hard man?
No, stop you.
Bob calms things down and gives Jim the chance to put across his point of view.
I'm representing literally hundreds of people who are really upset by what you've done. You know, they feel very passionately about it, as I do. And I'm a London boy. I'm South London and I'm proud of it, but I've made Devon my home. And I serve the community every day of my working life here, you know. And I'm committed to Devon and being here. I'm a charge nurse at Derriford Intensive Care Unit.
God forbid we ever end up there, then.
No, you get the best care. You get the best care going. Actually,
that's not fair, Mary. Let him finish. Let him have his say.
Bob didn't want any kind of break then because he was anxious to keep that momentum going, and that's what he's doing now.
I feel an injustice has been done. I think you basically are sticking two fingers up to the community and saying we can do what we want and we don't give a shit about you.
No.
People are so passionate about it, and so many people visit that land and love it. You just don't realise the scale of protest against what you've done. You know, there's hundreds of people that really are out to get you, I think, really, in some ways. I'm not one of them. You know, I truly am not one of them. All I want to do is do what I used to do.
What, break the law?
No, and treat your land with respect and just go there and spend some time.
Bob has now got up. Clearly, he's ready to make some other interjection into this.
I've got you on film pushing people, you know.
Okay, I want to ask some questions, if I might. Jim, let's establish some facts. Have you ever published anything on any website that directly attacks Mary?
Never, no.
Not on the Ramblers website?
No, never.
So who's putting...
What's that then? What's that then?
Oh, right.
By you?
No, I did write
By
that.
you?
Yes, I did. What did I call you? Is it something nasty? Oh, I did actually. Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
What did Jim actually write? Can you read it out?
Clearly there is a Teflon element to this woman when it comes to most criminal charges. Dawn French, without the warmth and looks, like East German shot putter. Yeah, be scared, be very scared. Son is an unpleasant young man of the CGI persuasion.
I think Jim, looking at his body language now, feels embarrassed.
Do you want to apologise for those comments? Would you unreservedly take those back?
Yeah.
Explanation of what CGI persuasion is?
Well, you look up in the medical dictionary, yeah?
You can write it, so why can't you explain it?
I don't have to explain anything to you. Go and get yourself a dictionary.
I haven't written anything nasty about you.
I've apologised for that.
Actually, I think that's good. At least the guy has apologised straight to your face and said, I'm sorry.
Only just now. No.
But that's good.
But he still hasn't explained his CGI.
Okay.
Whatever that is. Come on. No. Be open. Come on, be open.
No, I don't.
Come on. Are you so embarrassed you can't tell
I'll
us?
give you a few foreign tips if you give me a few medical tips, if you're going to patronise me like that.
Yes, come
on. Do you really want to know?
You're acting like a complete
If you can accuse Daniel of whatever CGI is.
Well, now he's in front of me. I do feel very bad about it, but it means congenital idiot, and you're obviously not. So I do apologise.
No, I'm not shaking under you.
Okay.
There he is, caught, trousers down, out in the open.
But in my time.
With Jim now on the back foot, Bob decides to turn his attention to the Alfords.
What do you want out of Vixen Tor, just as a matter of... Would you like to charge entry to Vixen Tor, for example?
Personally, I just want to farm it.
That's what we bought it for.
You want it?
We bought it for the land and run it as a farm.
If there was a way round people able to visit out without interfering with your farming...
But it would.
But it would.
Okay.
We've either got to farm it or not farm it and open it up and move out. I'll move off somewhere else.
They're not prepared to compromise in any way, shape or form at the moment. They seem to be totally intractable. It's a real challenge for Bob here now.
You've won the legal war, but Mary, there's a hearts and minds type battle as well. And I think, for example, and I'm producing this makes you look something you're not. And you are branded by the press as some sort of uncaring landowner. Why have this bad press for the family?
Do you know what, Bob? We don't care. We have a motto: what's right's right and what's wrong's wrong.
Yeah.
We've won the day. Jim is a lawbreaker. We're not. We're perfectly within our limits.
Okay.
She's like a battleship at full speed.
I can't understand why you are supporting a lawbreaker.
No,
a chap with your background.
Does she realise that Bob and her do not have a problem?
Her problem is about Vixen Tor. Bob's here to help.
With Mary and Dan unwilling to budge, the Colonel decides all he can do is ask both sides how they want to take things forward.
Mary and Dan, what do you want him to do?
Just respect our position and the law.
Absolutely.
Simple as that.
Simple as that.
Jim, what do you want Mary and Dan to do?
Just realise that there's people who would like to go onto that tour and have some access.
Looking at the body language of the two of them now, Mary thinks she's won this argument, and Jim sits there, and Jim's looking slumped, and he looks a bit beaten and dejected.
There we are. Thanks very much for coming this afternoon. We've at least got to the nub of the problem, and I understand much more the situation. By the end, Jim was bushed. Mary knew that she was in an unassailable position, and indeed she is.
They were intransigent. I mean, that was obvious from the start, and they didn't really shift.
I think it's done good to sort of air a lot of views and hear his side, but my thoughts are the same as before I went in, basically.
I was hoping to actually achieve some access there and then, but I think it became obvious early on that wasn't going to happen in that one meeting. But perhaps in future meetings we might see some progress.
The next day, Bob needs to move the situation forward, and to do that he has to win over the Alfords. So he's decided to attack the problem using a dual approach.
Today's a crunch day, so for that reason I've decided to put Jim with Dan, because Dan looks to be slightly more amenable to compromise than Mary does. At the same time, I'm going to go and see Mary to see if she will actually give a little more.
Bob has brought Jim to the farm to help Dan with the sheep shearing, in the hope that a spot of hard work can bring them closer together.
And I want to go and have a word with your mum and see if I can make her more... You better wish me luck, mate.
You need it.
I'll need it, thanks.
Mary's a seriously difficult nut to crack. She stuck to her position and refused to change it. Therefore, I want to go and see her to see if I can soften her attitude a little bit. What I actually want to do is to get Mary to agree to open the tour up at some stage for a short period. When I was in Bosnia, I often used to take along bottles of whiskey to negotiations. Not to get drunk, but again, just as a token of goodwill. How do you think it went yesterday?
Pretty much as I expected, I think. I don't think he understands farming. There is a big divide of everything. I would like that divide to narrow and for the town and country to understand each other. Jim and co seem to think farming is running through daisies and buttercups, and it's not like that anymore.
Jim's certainly learning what farming is all about, the hard way.
Go a bit easy on him.
And that's a male, is it?
Yeah, that's a girl, that's a female, that's a ewe.
All right. My back is going to kill me tomorrow.
Sit tight for a tea break, yeah?
Mary, I would really like to get one day of public access to Vixen Tor.
It's all give on my side and none on theirs.
I know this is a really big thing for you, so if you were to give that sort of concession, what would you ask Jim Harrison to do by way of return?
Stop trespassing on my land and anybody else's. He knows it's against the law. You know, grow up, be a big boy.
I would really like to have one day of public access. I think you're a big enough person to give a little bit.
It's something that I could think about, but I can't say yes or no at this stage.
There are over 500 sheep to shear and brand. Jim's beginning to get the hang of it.
They'll be on about 35, I reckon. Bloody hell. All right, mate. Hit him for me with that? Yeah. Oh, enjoyed himself. Hard work, though, isn't it?
Bob's plan was for Jim to build trust with Dan by working hard on the farm. and it seems to be paying off.
Doing all right, actually. No, he's getting stuck in. He's having a go. You can't ask more than that, can you, really?
Bit better, wasn't it?
I'm really pleased that Mary's agreed to think about opening up Vixen Tour. It was a no-no to start with, and now it's a possibility. That's progress. Now, the next stage is for Dan to go back to his mother and say, I really quite like Jim, and maybe that will act as a catalyst to convince Mary to agree to open the tour up.
Jim and Dan have finally finished branding the first batch of sheep. It's time for a break, and for Mary to cast her eye over the proceedings. Yesterday, Mary wouldn't shake hands with Jim. Now, she's offering him a sandwich.
I've seen him in a different light, certainly, yeah.
You have to. Another 1,000 sheep and you may be handy.
I won't be able to walk tomorrow, I know that. My back's going to kill me.
You'll have muscles you didn't know you had.
Bob's plan to put Jim to work with Dan seems to have been a success. Now, he has an important phone call to make.
Mary? It's Bob Stewart. Oh, that's great. That's good news. I mean, it makes great sense to do that, and it's a real, almost a sign of reconciliation.
So, Bob has got Mary's agreement to open up Vixen Tour to the public, subject to terms and conditions.
That's great news. This is the breakthrough I wanted. Mary has agreed to open up Vixen Tour. Is it down to me, or was it down to the fact that Dan and Jim met together and got on well? I suspect it's the latter. And more than that, trust has been built up. That trust has engendered a situation where Dan has gone back to Mary and said, Jim's not a bad bloke, and Mary has responded by saying, let's open the tour up. Fantastic. I've now got what I call a roadmap to peace. Mary's agreed to open up Vixen Tour. I now require Jim to agree something because he has to compromise. That's the art of negotiation. Everyone should compromise in some respect. I now want both sides to sign a document which gives formality to this process. So this roadmap to peace is crucial, and actually I want both sides to agree it and sign to it. Jim, Mary, thanks very much for letting me come down and talk to you both. I know this has been difficult for both of you, and I'm very grateful for the time you've allowed me to talk to you and to try and sort it out. And I've got some suggestions for a way ahead. All abuse between both sides is to stop with immediate effect. Jim, I want you to use your good offices to stop people trespassing as much as you can, because, well, I know you haven't got power, but do your best, please. OK?
OK, I'll do my best. It's
Okay.
quite hard.
And the most important point of all, which I think we will all agree on, is the aim is for Vixen Tour to become a symbol of reconciliation rather than division. An open day should be held this summer. Mary has conceded that. It's going to be a charity event. All profits will either go to farmers in need or their air ambulance. Happy on that, both sides.
Sounds good.
Good. That's what I've actually sort of sketched out, which I want us to sign up to. And then I personally look forward to coming back here and being here on that day. Is that OK for you, Mary? And is that OK for you, Jim?
Yeah.
Right, well, let's sign it.
I think it's a good outcome. We couldn't have hoped for a better outcome, actually, at this stage, definitely.
I hope it stopped him breaking the law by seeing what happens on the farm and how the countryside works. And that is why we've agreed to one-off open day to raise money for charity. And I hope Jim will do his best to get as many people there as he can.
Final thought is, will you now shake his hand?
Can I trust you, Jim?
You can. I think people will view the Orfords in a warmer light, certainly, now that you've organised this, certainly, yeah. I mean, yeah, you know, we're having a party, basically. You know, everyone likes a party.
This is what I wanted to do. I wanted to get the public access to Vixen Tour. We have. Secondly, I wanted trespassers to be stopped. We have. And thirdly, I wanted those people who were most at each other's throats to lessen the tension, to get to know one another, and to be able to talk. We have. Mission accomplished.
After Bob's departure, the truce has held between Jim and Mary, and Vixen Tor has been quiet. While Mary's been busy on the farm, Jim has been using his website to publicise the open day.
I haven't been trespassing. There's been no need at the present time, so no, I've been keeping to my side of the bargain.
Jim and I have been in contact over the open day. We hope that we're going to raise a lot of money for the two charities chosen. We hope it's a fun day without any nasty incidents, and everybody enjoys themselves.
We've got each other's mobile numbers. We've been texting, and so it's good. There's a dialogue there, which wasn't before.
A month later, and the Colonel returns to Dartmoor to witness the open day he negotiated with Mary Alford.
Today is all for charity, and you know, we want to boost the coffers of the air ambulance and Farmers Network in crisis, and we'll see how charitable people are.
We got some beer, we got a band, and you know, it's good to talk. It's good to meet like-minded people. So from that point of view, yeah, it's good. It's good.
Despite some contact, this open day is the first time Mary and Jim have actually met up with one another since the Colonel left.
You're going to stop trespassing? You're going to stop law
Am I going to
breaking?
stop trespassing? I like to use the word visit.
No. No, let's be factual about it. The actual word is trespass.
Oh, no.
Not just visit.
Come on.
Trespass.
I'm
You can visit
not
by
gonna-
looking over the wall.
Come on, we know this is not going to stop me trespassing, is it?
Well, you promised you would.
Did I?
You said.
Tension still exists between the two parties, but do they think the open day has been worthwhile?
Well, Mary, thanks for today. And how do you think it went, Jim, from your point of view?
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, enjoyed myself.
Yeah. And Mary, what do you think?
Yeah, I think everybody that came's enjoyed themselves, well, I hope they did anyway.
Yeah, I think they did. Do you think it might happen again? We could organise this again, with your permission?
This is a one-off, so we shall see.
We shall see.
And the we shall see means that if there is no trespassing and if there is no wire cutting, maybe.
That's excellent. It's clear that this rock is something that matters a great deal to people. It's good that Mary has agreed to allow this to happen. I hope it can happen again. I hope this is a catalyst for it to happen again, and I hope resolution has actually been brought closer by my actions.